What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Isaac Inspires. All right, so we're going to talk about warping, tempo, and modulation in this video. Okay, this is actually very crucial and it can make your life so much easier when you learn this. All right, so let's go ahead and hop straight in. So here you'll see in my template, I have a tempo and I have a sections. This is my song template, by the way. I have a live set template as well. But I like doing all my changes in my song template because Ableton has a feature where when you drag it into the live function, it sets everything up perfectly. All right. So I do all these changes or all these initial setups in my song template. Any changes for the set will happen in the live set. Anyway, so here we are. I've created a tempo track already, but I'm going to create a new one just so you guys see how this works. And then I have sections, which we won't touch on today. So I'm going to secondary click. I'll hit insert audio track. That's what we want, is an audio track. And then I'm going to press this record button, make sure it's recording. And then I'm just going to record a little bit of something, like maybe a half a bar or so. All right, great. So I have this audio track recorded. Now I'm going to double click to go into it. I do not care about this audio at all. So I'm going to take the gain all the way down to negative infinity. All right. I want this audio track simply for tempo purposes. I want everything that's under this to follow the tempo of this particular tempo track. All right. So the first thing I need to do is let's go into live and let's go into settings. All right. So we're going to go into where our warp function is. It may look different depending on which version of live you're on, but you'll see warp. And if you see auto warp long samples is on, you want to turn that off. Otherwise, it'll try to do it by itself and it could create chaos when you actually manually try to go in and do something. So you want that off. And then if you want to, you can turn the warp mode to complex. It's usually on beats to start. You don't have to. You can do it in the actual setting, but if you want to, you can adjust that too. But the main thing is auto warp samples has to be off. All right, cool. So let's come back out of here. What we're going to do is we're going to try to extend this audio clip. Sometimes it won't extend for you. So what you'll do is you'll come into here where it says end. You'll put in, let's say 10. It'll extend it. And then you're able to drag, right? So this is what we want initially. It's just a blank audio track. Now I'm going to close this one and I'm going to go back to the one I initially have set up because it's the same thing. So you see my gain is at negative infinity. I've dragged this. I made this about 10 minutes long in general because most songs are under 10 minutes. So, but I can drag it out if I need to. I can pull it further or I can make it closer depending. Cool. So what we want to do here is we want to warp this tempo. It's initially going to come like this. Okay. What we want to do is we want to hit warp for it. The reason we want to warp it is because we want any information that we change in here to happen for this tempo track and for everything else that is under it. Let's say warping is like putting it in a different class, right? So if something happens in one class and not the other, then it doesn't affect the second class, right? So you want everything in the warp class. That way, everything that's in the warp class, any adjustments you make happen to that class, right? If it's unwarped, any adjustments that you make won't happen to it. All right, that's the easiest way to describe it. So we want to warp that. And then initially it's going to come like this. So it's going to say follow. We don't want the tempo to follow. We want the tempo to lead, right? So we're going to click this and we're going to make this the leader. Okay. Now here's the easiest way to look at this. I'm going to change this tempo to 153 BPM. If you'll notice, the tempo in Ableton still says 120 because right now Ableton is leading. Okay. So if I hit follow, you'll see this turns on. Once I hit lead again, you'll notice that You'll notice that the tempo now changes to 153. It's now, Ableton is now following this lead track. Okay, so you can do this on every single song. This is why I have a song template, because on every single song, you can adjust the tempo and have this be your lead here. All right. And then when you go to pull it into your live set, all the tempo is already set. You don't have to mess with Ableton's, stuff because that can get tricky as well. So you want your audio track that is now your tempo to lead. All right. And then you want to set your BPM. I believe in 11, actually it's here as well. You can set your time signature if you want to, just to make it easier to follow along. You don't have to set the key or anything. We'll do that a different way. So that's pretty much it for this. I'm going to pull up a song that I already have in here, and you guys are going to see how, we're not going to say, you're going to see how this works. All right. So I have a song in here. I have my tempo track, and then I have a bunch of clips. All right. Now, again, we're not going to worry about sections at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this tempo track. You're going to see everything set the same way. And the BPM here is 166. That's the BPM of this song. All right. So I'm going to play a little bit of it. All right. Now, that's done. We don't have to mess with that. What we have to do next is we have to warp all of these tracks. So we can press the first one, hold shift, press the last one, double click it, and it'll bring this window up. Now, I've already warped these. Normally they will come unwarped. All right. You want to warp it because remember we talked about classes. So if I change the tempo and this is not in the same warp class, me changing the tempo will do nothing to these tracks. All right. So we want to make sure that anything that we do, any adjustments that we make happen to the tracks we want them to happen to. So we're going to warp to put, yes, it's fine. We're going to warp to put them in the same family again. All right. Now I'm just going to undo everything just to put it back where it was. Cool. So now these tracks are warped. All right. Bingo. You can see all the tracks are warped. Now here again, it's normally set to beats. I put it to pro, just because again, it gives you the cleanest sound for everything. That's just a preference. You can mess with it and figure out what works best for you, but pro works best for me. All right, cool. So now everything is set to follow. Everything is set to follow, right? You see follow on all the tracks. It's meant to follow this lead. So if I change the tempo, and let's say I make it 123, I have to hit lead, turn to follow, and then lead again, right? You're going to see this changes up here once I start playing it. It changes it to 123. And these tracks have followed suit. All right. So they followed the BPM change. Let's move this up. Let's make it 193. Okay. Double click, boom, boom, start playing. All right. Messing around. Okay, cool. So this is how we change tempo. All right. Now in your song file, you're not going to really do this. This is more so when you go to your live set. Let's say you get there and the artist is like, hey, this is too fast. Let's pull it down a little bit. Or, hey, this is too slow. Let's bump it up. Then you can do the same thing in your live set. And when I do the live set video, you'll see how this actually comes to be. All right. So that's it for tempo and warping. Now let's talk about modulation. So modulation is cool. Actually, let me put this back to 166. There we go. Cool. So what we want to do is anything that we want to change keys, because we've warped, it's in the warp group. Now we can actually change it, right? So our click, we don't really want that to change, but everything else that's melodic, we want to. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to select everything. All right. But like I have like loops in here that normally I wouldn't want to change. I have, some aux drums that I wouldn't want to change, but for the sake of this video, I'll just select it all. We'll double click to open. Now, under this gain function, you'll see pitch. Pitch is how you change keys. So whatever key this is in, I'm going to move the pitch function. Watch this. All right. So you can do that only by warping. If I don't hit warp, if I unwarp everything, I'm going to unwarp everything right now. And I try to make any adjustments. So let's just double click on this. Double click on this. You see it's not warped. I'm playing. This is how you get into this type of trouble. That's how you get in trouble, right? So you want to make sure everything is warped. That way it's in a class. Anything you do won't affect everything else that's involved. All right. So that's the importance of warping. Okay. So warping is going to be your best friend in a lot of cases. It's going to help you to adjust tempo, adjust key, and you can do a lot of other interesting things. All right. Now, if you ever run into the issue where you get some noise when you play it through a speaker, all you have to do is reconsolidate the tracks. Okay. Because maybe when you adjusted the key, it added a bit of formants to it. So in that case, you would select everything. You would hit Command J or Control J if you're on PC. It would reconsolidate everything as a new file. And when you play it again, it'll be perfectly fine. All right. So hope this helps. I hope you guys are loving the series. If you guys have any suggestions of things that I can add to, let me know. There's more on the way though, for sure. All right. So stay tuned, have fun, be blessed, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.